Bitcoin works a lot like a pizza. Let me explain. We all know what a pizza is, right? It's a big circle. It can be divided into slices, 4 slices, 8 slices, 12 slices, 16, doesn't matter what the number is. We can all conceptualize that, right? And once all the slices are gone, there's no more pizza. Now think of Bitcoin in the same way. There's a fixed supply of 21 million Bitcoin. So think of a pizza, and within that pizza, you have 21 million slices, 21 Bitcoin. And that pizza, that Bitcoin pizza, can be divided into smaller parts. Similarly, how a pizza can be divided into smaller parts, right? Just because you can divide it into 8 slices doesn't mean you can't further divide it into more slices. That's a pizza, that's Bitcoin. And just like a pizza, how when there's no more slices, there's no more pizza. When all the Bitcoin has been mined up, there is no more Bitcoin. It is a finite supply. When Bitcoin was created in 2009, miners were rewarded 50 Bitcoin per mining block. The mining difficulty was set to 1, and there was about 60 blocks that were being mined per day. So 6 times 5 is 30, so about 3,000 Bitcoin was being mined every single day when Bitcoin was first introduced before the first halving. This is when, at this point in time, you could have a personal computer mining hundreds and hundreds of Bitcoin like it was nothing. To put things into perspective, today we have entire data centers completely dedicated to just mining Bitcoin. And believe me, the rewards today is nowhere even near what the rewards were back in 2009, back in 2012. There's no comparison. And these data centers are worth tens to hundreds of millions of dollars, some even billions of dollars. So imagine that. Back in 2009, you had a single computer being able to mine 50 Bitcoin in one block. It's freaking crazy. And why is that? Why is there entire data centers that are being dedicated to mining Bitcoin, and why can't you just mine Bitcoin on a personal computer anymore? Well, as more time passes, the difficulty increases, the reward for mining Bitcoin decreases after every halving. It gets cut in half. So it takes a lot more computational power to be able to mine a single Bitcoin, to be able to mine an entire block, I should say. The difficulty of mining adjusts approximately every 2,000 blocks. So this is about every 2 weeks. And this ensures that blocks are mined approximately every 10 minutes. It's a pretty ingenious system, to be honest. Without getting too technical, the hash rate or the computational power required to successfully mine a block typically increases as the mining difficulty rises. And this is because the difficulty adjusts based on the total network hash rate or the computational power to maintain a consistent block time. But here's the catch. Every 4 years, the number of slices decreases. The issuance of Bitcoin gets cut in half. And this happens every 210,000 mining blocks, or approximately every 4 years. This is called the Bitcoin halving. The block reward is cut in half, thus reducing the number of Bitcoin that enters circulation. Because if we didn't have the Bitcoin halving, all of the Bitcoin would be mined by the year 2016. In my personal opinion, the difficulty adjustment and the Bitcoin halving is probably 2 of the most ingenious mechanisms of this whole Bitcoin system. I mean, how do you even think of that? I mean, yeah, sure, it's a limited supply, that's great, but yeah, what's the point if it all gets mined in like 8 years? It's ridiculous, it doesn't make any sense. But getting the issuance cut in half and adjusting difficulty, that way you don't have entire data centers in the beginning of Bitcoin's inception mining all the Bitcoin at once. No, the difficulty adjusts because the more people you have mining Bitcoin, the harder it is, the more computational power that is required. So at the beginning, in 2009, 2010, 2011, there weren't that many people mining Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, you can arguably say, was a little on the centralized side. But then as more time passes on, there's more miners that enter the space because the incentive is, if you just mine a little bit of Bitcoin, you'll make a lot of money, you'll earn a lot of Bitcoin. But now that we have entire data centers, entire countries, entire companies mining Bitcoin at once, you can imagine what the difficulty is. And that's exactly why you can't have a personal computer mining Bitcoin. It's just, you're not going to make anything. It's not going to make any sense. There is absolutely no incentive. In 2009, like I said, the Bitcoin reward was 50 Bitcoin per block. In 2012, at the first halving event, it gets cut in half. And then there was 25 Bitcoin per block. And then 4 years later after that, in 2016, it gets cut in half again. So now we're at 12.5 Bitcoin per block. And then in 2020, it gets cut in half again. And then in 2024, which was just last year, it got cut in half again. So the reward now is 3.125 Bitcoin per block. Now back to our pizza analogy, because that's what this whole video is about. Comparing how Bitcoin is to a pizza. So again, in 2009, you start with a big ass pizza. And then every 4 years, the slices get smaller and smaller. In fact, the slices get cut in half. So eventually, after all the halving events and all the mining, the pizza will be gone. You can no longer divide it anymore. And at that point, there's no more pizza or there's no more Bitcoin. And that's going to happen in the year 2140. The year 2140, there will be no more Bitcoin. The last Bitcoin will be mined. And at that point, it won't even be a full Bitcoin that's being mined. It's going to be like 0.00 something. I'll put the chart up on the screen, but it's going to be a very small amount of Bitcoin that is being issued per mining block in the year 2140. But I mean, at that point, none of us are even going to be alive. So, I mean, does it really even matter? Not really. At that point, because no more Bitcoin can be mined, the only way you're going to be able to get Bitcoin is if somebody sells it to you. So, and even long before the last Bitcoin is being mined, you won't even be able to buy Bitcoin on any exchanges. Like, you will literally have to work to earn Bitcoin. You will no longer be able to buy it. You will have to work for it. But we are years, decades, and decades away from that inevitability. The thing about Bitcoin that a lot of people still to this day do not understand is its scarcity. That is where it gets its value from. It's the scarcity. It is safe to say that at this point, Bitcoin has passed the proof of concept stage, because we have nations buying Bitcoin. We have the president of the United States going to be creating a strategic Bitcoin reserve. That is pretty freaking major. We have entire companies creating a Bitcoin treasury. They're putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet. We have institutions. We have retail investors. We have a lot of people are into Bitcoin now. It's past the proof of concept. It's hit 100K. We're going to 1 million. We're going to 5 million. We're going to 20 million. We're going to 100 million. Bitcoin is just going to go up in value. So the sooner you learn about Bitcoin, the faster you'll get on the train and the faster you will be able to get to where you need to in life. And what is that? Freedom. Fact remains, Bitcoin has intrinsic value. You can argue it all you want. Bitcoin has intrinsic value. It is the scarcity. It is a store of value. Metcalfe's law will be the biggest driver of Bitcoin adoption across the world. Do you think it's just a coincidence that Bitcoin's network effect has a direct correlation with its adoption and price appreciation? I don't think so. I really don't. Once you understand Bitcoin, and I mean even at a basic level, you don't have to understand all the intricacies of Bitcoin and all the advanced technical know-hows about Bitcoin. Once you understand it at a basic level, you will understand why it was created, why it's needed, why you need it, and why it is going to be a ubiquitous part of the world. It is not a matter of if it's going to happen. It's a function of time. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when it's globally adopted. With Bitcoin, you're essentially future-proofing your money for an unknown tomorrow. I like to use the analogy of Bitcoin is like an insurance policy. You know, life insurance, car insurance, health insurance. We all hate paying those monthly premiums, right? I mean, paying $100 a month, $200 a month. 20 years could pass by and you can't get into a single accident. Your health is fine. Why am I paying all of this premium? Like, this is ridiculous. It's annoying as hell until you actually need it, until you actually get into that life-altering accident, until you actually have a health issue, until something happens in your life where your livelihood is jeopardized. You're going to wish you had insurance. Bitcoin is the same way. You can think of Bitcoin in the same way. You don't really know how you will need Bitcoin. You know it's a good investment. You know it's a good savings vehicle. But I mean, do you really have a deep understanding? Probably not. But that's okay, because even if you allocate a small number of your total portfolio to Bitcoin, it could be as small as 1%, 2%, 5% if you're feeling like that guy. Small amount for an unknown tomorrow. Because imagine in 10, 20, 30, 40 years, Bitcoin is this ubiquitous financial instrument that is globally adopted. And imagine you were like, you know what? Seems like a scam, seems like a Ponzi. I'm a pass. Imagine that. Don't be that person. Because your grandkids are going to be sitting on your lap and they're going to be asking you, Grandma, why did you buy Bitcoin when it was so cheap? It was like $100,000. Why did you buy it? How are you going to have that conversation with your grandkids? It's going to be extremely difficult. So don't even put yourself in that position. Just don't. Do yourself the favor, educate yourself, and learn about Bitcoin. It's simple. If you want to learn about Bitcoin and understand it from first principles, I always recommend the Bitcoin Standard. You'll have a great understanding of money, and you'll have an even better understanding of Bitcoin, why it was created, and why it's needed. Let me know down below in the comment section how many of you actually own a copy of the Bitcoin Standard, and how many of you have actually read the Bitcoin Standard, and how many of you are thinking about reading the Bitcoin Standard. Let me know down below in the comment section, and I implore you all to grab a copy and just read the book. It It may be a bore, it may be a snooze fest, but if you want an understanding of money and Bitcoin, read the damn book. All right, y'all, that's all I got for today. As always, I thank you all for yet another opportunity to share my thoughts and my insights. I greatly appreciate it. If you learned something from this video, let me know down below in the comment section by leaving a comment, like, share, all that good stuff. I greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel tremendously. And with that, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I look forward to the next one. BK out. Yo, my brim is getting in the way. BK out.